Good evening, IBC. This is Matthias. I have the privilege to conclude with all of us this week of fasting and prayer. I hope it's been an incredible week for you, and that this week has helped you to align your life more on what God has for you and has for us as a church. I can share some thoughts on the consequences of true church life. And I thought that was a really cool topic to end the week, as we see in the book of Acts that the church explodes on the scene and goes viral immediately after Pentecost. And just thinking about this moment where 3,000 people come to faith, and the disciples and those who were like in the room, the 120, I just imagine sometimes, like, what would they have thought in the moment where they were baptizing 3,000 people on the very same day, and then the next day another 2,000 are added to them, and so it goes on in the first weeks after Pentecost. Like, daily the Lord is adding to their number. And I was thinking, like, the only frame of reference that those people, those original disciples and the 120 in the upper room had, was the 3-year process that Jesus did with them, how he journeyed with them, how they did life together, and that would have been their frame of reference for what was supposed to happen next. And I'm thinking about this concept of making disciples, and how Jesus physically but also spiritually baptized his disciples into this new reality of the kingdom. And I figured that is what they probably would have started doing immediately, like those 3,000 people that first day, and then 5,000 the next day, and they need to start discipling all of these people into the kingdom. And so I imagine that they would have found ways, as we can read further in the book of Acts, that all of these things start taking place in people's homes. People open up their homes, they are hospitable, they invite people in, they start sharing about the kingdom, about Jesus, about his teaching and the things that he said and shared with them. And so I was thinking about this as we, and the early church gathered also in Solomon's portico, and they had bigger gatherings as well. But I think that the secret of the early church was in those little house churches, like the compound effect of all of those little gatherings with people that meeting in living rooms and making disciples and just passing on everything that Jesus would have told them. And I was thinking, like, the consequences of true church life is life on life discipleship. It's in the small groups. And so I'm just inviting you again, or maybe if you haven't considered it, or maybe you are considering, but to be part of a home group. I would suggest or say that if you are not part of a small group with other believers, that you're probably missing out on the best part of church life, where things get real and where you know other people and they know you, and you journey through the thick and thin of life. I would say that is probably one of the most important aspects of church life, and I would encourage you to not miss out on that. And so if you are not in a home group yet, and you are thinking, or you're desiring to take next steps in your faith life, I would say get in the mix with other faithful and mature Christians, and learn from them, and look at how they pray, and look at how they read the scriptures, and you take everything away from that for your own personal life with Jesus. I think that is one of the most important things, as we are called to be a movement of disciple makers. I would also encourage you to think about who the people are in your life that God has placed in your sphere of influence, so to say. Who are the people that you are discipling? Who are the people that you are baptizing into the kingdom and helping them live in that new reality, helping them engage with the word and in prayer? That also is one of the consequences, I think, of true church life, is that we look to the next generation to disciple them, to be able to bring the kingdom further than we ever were able to. And I would I would argue that that is the primary mission of the church, as Jesus said, to go and make disciples of all nations. How are you involved with that mission? Because the church, the early church, they were a family. They were connected closely. They had done life with Jesus. They had known him. Like they were passing on his witness and his testimony and the story of the gospel and all these things. They were actively not just like a family, but also like they were a family on mission. I would say that that would be a very good description of the early church, a family on mission. And so as we think about IBC, and you think about the people that you're journeying with currently through life, let's look at each other as family, and let's be engaged in the mission of Jesus. I think if we can connect those two things, that is pretty close to what the early church was all about. And so I hope that this week of prayer and fasting has helped you, and has encouraged you, and has challenged you, and has invited you to a deeper life with Christ and communion with God. And I hope that the effects of this will be visible in and through your life as we engage with the world, and they are desperately waiting to hear the message of the kingdom, and that there is a way for them to come home into the arms of the Father. We owe the world that message, that gospel. And so I pray that you are receiving a fire in your spirit, a burning desire to share the message of the kingdom, to make disciples, to help people live in the kingdom, as you yourself also are increasingly becoming aware and active and engaged in that kingdom lifestyle. So every blessing. Hope to see you soon, and I hope you have a couple of great next days and weeks ahead of you as you continue living in the presence of God in prayer and reading the Word. Take care. Bye-bye.